Hello, beautiful creatures of the world, and welcome back to Coffee with Kerri-Lynn. It's a beautiful day in the far north of Maine, up along the Canadian border in the crown of Maine, and it was a beautiful day wherever you are as well. It's been 10 days. I haven't podcasted in 10 days because life has been happening, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world. I have adversity just like you guys. You know, life has its ups and downs, just like you guys. I know people look at the videos and think, oh, what a fantastic fairy tale life she has, and that is the furthest thing from the truth. A lot of people are going through this unreal phase in their life. They're disconnecting from what's going on in the real world, you know, all the dumpster fire that is that. And they are watching a lot more YouTube, they're watching a lot more TikTok, and they're comparing their life to the life of content creators. And honestly, you're not doing yourself a service. You're doing yourself a huge disservice. My audience knows that they are only seeing less than 1% of my life on film. I do not throw my life up in my podcasts. I pick and choose. I carefully curate what you're going to see and what you're going to know about my life. I live 99% of my life in the background, and I leave it there. And that is where all the fun, all the magic, all the happiness, all the sadness, that is where life really happens. That is my reality. And my audience is based AF in reality. So if you are a person who is on these platforms and you're comparing your real life to a content creator's life, you're doing yourself a huge disservice, and you're causing more anxiety and depression in your life than you really need to. My life is a dumpster fire, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world. It has been a dumpster fire for almost 2 months. It's just the fact. You have nothing in life if you do not have your health. And I want to make that very clear to everybody. If you are not well, then you have a lot of nothing in life. You can have all the money in the world. You can have all the fame and fortune in the world. You can have everything your heart desires. But if you are not healthy enough to live your life, you don't have a life. And we've been battling my husband's health for almost 2 months. He is up and down with what's going on in his life. And in between, there have been some major miracles, some major blessings have happened in the lives of our youngest son, our daughter-in-law, and our grandchildren. And it's just been a whirlwind of worry, and it's been a whirlwind of happiness, and it's all colliding together. And that is what we consider the experience of life. So let's start from the beginning. For those of you who have been regulars to my channel, you guys know that my husband got sick last month. Our grandson had his 4th birthday party here at the house, and when they came over, they was all sick with colds. I'm not touching the rest of it with the 10-foot pole because I've had my speech. Now, my husband has a birth defect in his sinuses, and they don't drain properly. The last time he had a major sinus infection, like he got right after the birthday party, was 25 years ago, and he needed to be hospitalized. They were going to put drains in. They chose not to, whatever. It was the 90s. And he has not had an infection like that for 25 years. And a week after the birthday party, he got up from a nap. His face was out to here. Everything was sagging. I thought he had a stroke or Bell's palsy. So I shoved him in the car and sped to the emergency room. And that was the 5.5 hour video rant that I did about waiting 5.5 hours in the emergency room before he was seen. His blood pressure was through the roof. He was very close to stroking out. It was just a horrible situation. But it was a Saturday and the doctor wasn't open. So that's where we ended up. He ended up on a course of antibiotics for 7 days. He took that course of antibiotics. Everything went back to normal. Life was good. He was feeling better. 3 days off the antibiotics, the face started swelling again. That was a Tuesday. So I called the quack's office, trying to get him in because we need to do something. You need to look at him. You need to see him. Things are swelling. It's not over yet. And I am told they cannot find his medical records. Then I am questioned as to whether we switched doctors. No, we have not. He's had the same quack for 10 years. How could this have happened? Oh, well, we changed our computer system over 2 years ago. I says, well, he's been being treated by the quack. Every time he runs out of his prescription BP meds, the pharmacy calls the doctor's office and the quack, you guessed it, refills the prescription for 2 years. So don't tell me y'all lost his medical records. But they did. And long story short, we have to start all over again. They couldn't see him that day. We have to go to the walk-in medical center. So we do. Now, he hasn't been in that medical system for 5 years. They had all his records. So it was kind of like an in and out type of thing. All the medication. This is what he was on. It's happening again. They prescribed a super antibiotic for him. Whether it was bacterial or viral, it was being done. And he got all kinds of medication for that. And 3 days after he finished that course of medication, he got sick again. And there is a new virus going on. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but you test negative for the flu, for norovirus, for C19. All of it is, you're testing negative for everything. So, even though we don't have a official doctor yet, because he's got to go to his initial appointment to a doctor he's had for 10 years. Well, anyways, long story short, called the office and they said everybody in town's got it. It's just a stomach thing. You're projectiling. You're just stay hydrated. Take some Imodium if you have to. It gives you a severe back pain. Don't panic about it. It'll feel like your back end is on fire. So on and off for the last couple weeks, he's had this. And it gets better and it gets worse and it gets better and it gets worse and it gets better and it gets worse. And what I think has happened is all that, what you call it, the antivirals, all the penicillins in the system, antibiotics, that's the word I'm looking for, has killed off the good bacteria in his gut and the bad bacteria in his gut. And I just think it was medication induced. And then he got this crazy new thing that everybody's getting that nobody can seem to control. And they don't know what it is, and it's lasting for weeks. Sometimes it lasts for 2 or 3 days. Sometimes it lasts for weeks. But the fact that I haven't gotten it yet, and I have inadvertently walked by the kitchen table and grabbed his glass of water and took a drink and kept going. I didn't get it, and I get everything under the sun. So I didn't get it, and we sleep together in the same bed. I'm still not sick. If he has the slightest cold, I get it. And he usually sleeps on the couch, but I mean, it's just been weeks of this, so I'm not getting it. So therefore, I think it's really a whole thing of the antibiotics killed off a lot of good and bad in his gut, and now we're slowly bringing the good bacteria back into his gut system, and he's kind of feeling a little bit better. And that's what I think is going on there. So we're getting back in the saddle, back in the swing of things, as you can imagine. That part of my life has been very stressful because he is the sole breadwinner and he has a company to run, and I have a farm to take care of, and just nothing has been meshing correctly around his health. So some days he's great, some days he's not, and we'll find out what it is, because now we're just building the good bacteria back in his gut. We're doing things a little more holistically now. Sometimes they resist, ladies and gentlemen. You, all you wives know, sometimes your men, when they get sick, they can just be stubborn about everything. And we're on that part of the program where, he's just tired of not feeling good. So there's a lot of mental, emotional, physical stuff going on in life right now. And that's where we're at with that. So we'll keep you updated on his health. And now for the absolute blessing in our life. On the 16th, You guys know that if you've been with the channel for a while, our youngest moved home with his wife, and they had a baby a year ago, and she has 2 children, and we're a blended family. I've discussed this before, and I try not to discuss the fact that we are blended often, because it just doesn't feel like we're a blended family. It feels like we have always been together. We were always meant to be together, and that's just how it is. I do every once in a while talk about step parenting. I talk about bringing step grandchildren into the fold. We do some discussions on that when we talk about our relationships, whether they're marriage, kids, big kids, little kids, grandkids, life, liberty, love, the pursuit of your happiness. When we do those intimate discussions, I do touch on how to seamlessly blend a family. And we don't look at step anything. We're just all. We're always been a unit. We will always be a unit. And that's the skinny on that. Well, something absolutely incredible happened to them. They moved up here out of state, like I said, a little over a year ago. They got married. They had the baby, the youngest, and they had to find jobs, and not everything was all set up, and we've got a housing crisis in the great state of Maine, and we've got a super housing crisis in a rustic county, and they've had to rent a place, and it's just all of it was kind of thrown into their life, their first year of marriage that should have been the honeymoon year. There was a lot of brick walls, there was a lot of adversities, there was a lot of not just a lot of getting to know you. That happens in your first year of marriage, where you really get to know a person 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Fun. And adversity happens. There are things that you find out that you don't like, and things that you find out that you really do like, and it happens to all of us. We have been together, my husband and I, for 42 years, and we've been married for 34 of them, so there you have it. There was a lot of getting to know you, even though we knew each other. I met him when I was 11 years old, and we were friends. Then I got cute. We had babies, and we got married. But even with that, having known somebody as a friend, when we got married, there was a lot of surprising stuff. I mean, there was things that I didn't. We lived together before we got married. And even during that period, there were things that didn't come forward till after we got married. After he hooked me and put the ring on it, but that happens to everybody. You're always learning new things about the person that you are married to. If you don't learn something new about your person every day, there's likes and dislikes that he's just realizing, just occurring to him that there's preferences and there's not preferences in all aspects of our life. I mean, I didn't know for a long time. I didn't know he didn't like eating taters at his dinner. I'd fed him taters every damn day. And it was like 10 years. 10 years into the marriage, he's like, I really don't like potatoes. I'd rather have rice. So you learn things, and that's what the kids have been doing. But finally, it's all coming together. It's just like, it's like God said, enough adversity, guys. You've been through everything that a couple that's been through many years together, goes through, because you have outside forces as well. You have, I want to be as polite as I can about this. You have other natural parents that don't always make life easy, if y'all know what I mean. In fact, we'll be doing a segment on deadbeat dads and moms shortly. Long story short, they have had a lot of adversity, and they've overcome a lot, and they've bonded, and they've stayed true to their faith. And it's just like, it's like the good Lord said, you guys have a good foundation. I know you can build together. You're not working against each other in moments that it would be very easy to work against each other, and you are fighting for your relationship, you're fighting for your marriage, you're fighting for your children. And God handed them a blessing, and they now have their home. They live not far from us. They live surrounded by a bunch of wonderful Amish people, who incidentally we happen to be very good friends with in their community. They did not know that when they moved there. It was just everything happened as it should, and everything fell into place. It's a jigsaw puzzle with every piece in the box at this point, and we are so thrilled for them, and it is such a blessing. They are far enough away from what we consider the big city where everything happens. They're far enough out into the country to live a wonderful homesteading country life, but yet close enough to get to work every day in the citified area. So that's how we're going to end this video, on a very positive, very upbeat note. And it all boils down to faith. It really does. How you perceive the positive energy, the positive grace in your life. That was snow falling. You know, we have a lot of cloudy days in our lives. We all do. And then we have the days that are absolutely sunny and absolutely magnificent. And it makes every cloudy day have been worth the experience. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, thank you for joining me once again on my podcast. We will be back on a regular basis. I really do think we're on the uphill climb. When you're having a downward spiral, you really need to grab hold of the reins and rein it all in and say, this is the point where things are going to change. And you start living the change, and the change does happen. That is a guaranteed promise. If you put the work into your life to make the good stuff happen, the good stuff really does happen. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, carpe diem, because no one promised you a tomorrow.